Hello, my name is Richard Corcio, and today I'm doing a presentation which is going to show an example of a career path that I would be interested in taking using the skills and tools that I have learned in the Introduction to Digital Media class and the Associate of Art and Design that I am taking currently at San Jacinto College. I prepared a PowerPoint slide which will give examples and some more information on how I plan on doing this. So, here we go. Start off the question, what career path are you pursuing? To begin, I would like to start off as a graphic designer or a visual artist. I understand that to begin with, a lot of things that I will be working on will be very commission-based, one-off projects. Probably not going to be starting off with a company in a design element without having a portfolio developed or some sort of work that will be available to them to look at. That's what I will be using a lot of my time here at school as, and potentially even my time at school and doing a couple of freelance jobs on the side to continue to develop that portfolio and get experience and have something to show companies, to show my skill set and show the things that I am available to do with said company. Um, As time progresses, however, I would love to become an art director for a local company or a larger company. Uh, the idea of developing, creating, and marketing a brand identity for a local Houston based company, for example, is something that is very interesting and very appealing to me, to design and develop something from scratch and see it unfold to then help whatever company may be what they need in terms of social media, a design marketing, brochures, any sort of photography work, etc. Um, so to continue on, something that I'm very interested in personally is streetwear and street fashion. I've always been into sort of hip hop, street fashion, sneaker culture, something that I know a lot about and have personally been interested in for many, many years. So to develop something from a company from scratch would be really great. And it is actually the basis of the example of what I have prepared today. So, what are some steps that I have to continue on my career path? First off is education. Uh, I plan on continuing my associates here at San Jacinto of Art and Design. That's going to give me a good backbone into learning the necessary skills of learning a good eye for design, learning a good eye for design communication, as well as learning how to use the products from Adobe's Creative Suites, which seem to be the industry standard. I'll be using this time to develop a portfolio with student work and, as I said before, potential freelance projects that may come on as my time here at Sanjak develops. So depending on the job market, I will continue my education if needed, transferring into a four-year university, taking workshop classes, whatnot, as well as keeping an eye available for jobs that may come up. Um, Having an associate is a good start, but a lot of companies may require a little bit more. So having that idea of continuing my education is something that will be necessary as time progresses, depending on how the market itself looks. As for employment, to start off, a lot of freelance and commission-based jobs are what I'm expecting to start off with. Little one-off projects to earn money, earn skills, earn my portfolio, continue to develop that as time goes on. But I will be keeping an eye out for a lot of local Houston-based companies in need of graphic designers and graphic design work. The Houston-based thing is just something that I personally would like. I have no qualms about potentially moving into another city or another market, another state if need be. Um, the possibility of remote work for different cities and states is also up there with the way that the world has been developing. So that could very well be an option. And then using my skills to move into an art director position for a company in need of something. As this progresses, I will be continuing my education in communication and design, marketing, photography, what have you, to continue to learn the skills that will potentially land me a job as an art director, which would be something that I would ultimately be interested in and would be an ultimate goal to realize. So for this presentation, what I decided to do was to create a fictitious company to showcase some of the skills and tools that I have learned in this class, as well as with my education so far in the program. So with this one, I decided to create a company called Porcio Kicks. Porcio was kind of a nickname that was given to me back when I was in high school because it sounds similar to my last name, Porcio. And the Kicks part is because it was going to be based in sort of a streetwear and sneaker retail business, which is something that I'm interested in, as well as something that I have a little bit of knowledge about. So just a couple of facts about the company itself. For this example, this is a Houston-based sneaker and streetwear resale and retail business. The sneaker business, especially the resale market, is popping up left and right with companies, real companies such as Rack Streetwear, Imperial Empire out on Westheimer, Bounce Back on Washington, and so forth and so more, with some of these companies having actual retail spaces and some of them being online only. But for this example, this is going to be mostly on the online aspect. So for them, they would be in need of logo design, web design, and social media marketing. A little bit of backstory with the sneaker and streetwear popularity. It's steadily increasing as the years have gone on. I know personally I have seen things explode in popularity with celebrities and athletes and just everybody under the sun becoming more and more interested in sneakers and streetwear. A article that I read stated that in 2019, Cohen Equity Research estimated that the total global sneaker market stood at $100 billion. The U.S. primary sneakers market, or market for new sneakers, was worth more than $21 billion. The global and U.S. resale market stood at $6 and $2 billion respectively. So basically what that states is that new sneakers just keep gaining more and more popularity, but there is also a market emerging for gently used, refurbished, renewed sneakers to essentially be worn. One example would be a pair of Air Jordans that sells out instantly in the retail market, which retails for around $200, can very easily resell, depending on popularity and stock, upwards of $300, $400, $500. It's getting to the point where even certain people can buy multiple pairs of said sneakers simply just to resell them to make a profit. Very similar to comic books and other collectibles, trading cards, what have you. Cohen analysts believe that the sneaker resale market could potentially reach $30 billion by 2030. So this is something that has a very real opportunity to make more money in the long run and continue to grow, assuming no bubble happens. But for now, just a little bit of statistics to push why I decided to go into this idea. So one of the first things I decided to do was to create a logo for this company. Of Porcio Kicks, I decided to do a main logo and a smaller sort of secondary logo for different applications. I used a very bold typeface, big drop shadows, thick square font, basically really in your face, really bold, simple colors. That way, if need be, it could be used for different applications without having to think too much about lots of printing and web design and other aspects which could potentially muddle things up. So bold typeface and simple companies. With the name of the company, I decided to add an exclamation point as well at the end of the yo. It kind of gives a little 90s hip hop vibe. Right now, the 90s are very popular. A lot of the sneakers and stuff and streetwear stuff is very steeped in 90s hip hop culture. A lot of the shoes originally came out in the 90s, especially with Michael Jordan's popularity, Scottie Pippen, a lot of these NBA athletes and NFL athletes, as well as musicians and other celebrities born in the 90s, which are using a lot of this 90s aesthetic to basically push their personal brand. A little bit of artwork on the bottom, 5 lines on the bottom left, kind of gives a feeling of stacking. If you are familiar with sneakers, they come in big boxes, and if you start collecting sneakers, you tend to end up with a large stack of boxes, which almost looks like a pyramid or a staircase that ends up taking over your entire wall. So it sort of gives that feeling of stacking, collecting, and whatnot. Very common with sneaker collectors and other people who are into collecting other things. On the bottom right, I decided to add a smaller logo secondary. This using the same font and idea. This could be used more for social media applications such as Twitter and Instagram, where the larger logo could lose a little bit of visual identity. If it's smaller, it definitely won't be seen. It won't be easy to read. So just using the initials OCY with the exclamation point kind of pops out a little bit. Also, because it's a smaller logo, it can be used for other smaller interfaces as well. It could be sort of a secondary logo, for example, if they decided to print T-shirts or use it on their brochures or business cards. It pops out a little bit more because of the simplicity. So the next thing I decided to tackle was creating a homepage / splash screen for this company, which, as I said, would be in the business of selling sneakers as well as reselling and whatnot. So as you see here, this is sort of an idea of what I decided to do with the page itself. So a couple of notes that I had about the homepage. First and foremost, as I said, it was an e-commerce website which will show the available stock of the products they have. At the bottom, it says new arrivals. Those would be shoes. As you'd scroll down, the idea would be to show new arrivals, sizes available, stock available, clothing, shoes, and be able to differentiate it into categories. The logo that I added was going to be on the top left, which would be available on all the pages. The top bar would essentially be the main navigation bar. On the top right, there will be an expanded menu to show you the products available, sizes, stock, contact us information, as well as a search option, which will give you the ability to search using keywords such as brand, type of shoe, style of shoe, size of shoe, etc., and the cart to see what you have added into your cart available for purchase. In the middle of the screen, there'd be a slideshow that would be showing products, interesting photos that would be more to gauge the eye of the customer, keep them interested, and a new arrival section, which will update as stock comes in with photos, information about it as well. Each photo, the idea would be each photo would be a link that would click into a product description page, which would describe the size, the style, the price of the product, as well as any other information about shipping and whatnot. So the last thing I decided to try to tackle is a sort of idea of using social media to advertise and market with this company. So on the right-hand side, I decided to create a quick social media post, which would showcase a couple of things. So on the right is an example of an Instagram post, which would be posted by the company. This is, for example, a new product that they got in stock. The text at the bottom would follow sort of a general format, which would show all the information consistent across the board, which would show what is for sale, the model, year of the shoe, size, whether or not there's any imperfections or any information necessary that a lot of these collectors are interested in, as well as a price point and whether or not shipping is included, XYZ. The hashtags on the bottom are very generic, but used across the board to reach a larger audience. For example, Nike, hashtag Air Jordan, hashtag sneakers. These will just be sort of used for engagement to get more eyes across the post. On the top left, I also included the city that the company is in. You can also see on the top left the little social media logo that I created to give it, it's a little easier to read than the full logo would be in this smaller format. So just a couple of final notes. This company is just one example of many of how I could pursue using this career path. my skills, the industry could vary wildly depending on the client themselves. As you said, this is a service-based job in its core. So the idea that a design for a sneaker resale business was not going to be the same design for a dentistry company or a company that sells sheetrock or a pool supply company or a fitness studio or what have you. There are many, many types of businesses out there which all have different ideas and design aspects that they would want to work with, but the concept here remains the same, that you will be using what the client gives you, what the client is expecting, and what their marketing idea looks like, and using that to develop a brand identity that they can then go forward with. So another thing would be that my education would continue beyond formal school. So as I mentioned before, Sanjak is the starting point and could very well be the finishing point depending on how I decide to pursue the job market after this. But if need be, I could go into University of Houston Clear Lake or University of Houston main campus and continue on from there. But formal school is not the end all be all. Design trends will change as the years go on. Design evolves and continues to develop as time progresses. So workshops, online study, YouTube videos, just learning all the design trends is going to keep me on top of everything and keep me from being stagnant and using the same recycled things and preventing me from getting work. And another big thing would also be learning skills beyond graphic design to expand my skill set. So marketing, photography, web design, UX design, these are all things that will give me more skills and more opportunities to get work. Because while one client may not need logos and brochures, but they do need web design, another client may need everything under the sun, including photography and web design and UX design and graphic and whatnot. So having the ability to do each one of those things is something that could potentially get me more work as time goes on. So that ends my presentation. Just one quick note. This is just an example of something that I would be interested in right now. As my time goes on at San Jacinto, there is an opportunity that I find something more interesting. It could be more in the marketing aspect, more in the photography aspect, more in design. I may switch things up. But right now, the interest of doing something in an art and design related field is something that's always interested me. So using this class and using everything that I've learned so far will hopefully allow me to continue on that path. Thanks for listening, guys. It was a lot of fun to make. Have a great day.